throwing fits, ripping shit, tearing it, imperative. Then I'm killing this mic no matter where I live. These derelict rappers acting the fool, this embarrassing is flagrant. That's the nature of this entertainment, and we can't even change it. Guilty before arraignment, now the system tainted. But when we speak, they all laugh at us. And y'all wonder why I'm lacking trust. Try to fight a giant with attorneys that can back them up. That's church versus science, both sides start acting up. I'm late on my assignment, hopping up a mile high, climbing, obviously never silent. New alignment, I'm defiant, cannot describe it. Used to describe it as a young graffiti artist. Before the beard, I always got carded. Hit every bar, even though my bar's been the hardest. The scars on my face said I ain't always been the smartest, but I'll show you where my heart is. I said I'll show you where my heart is. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my...
The type of guy that would ride with the breeze. I'm higher than most people. I'm cold and icicle freeze. I'm liking to Mike Tyson. I'm a bison, a beast. I'm hot like Jamaica, like right by the beach. My pops is from a spot where they're fighting for peace. 8 years old out there watching people fight in the streets. All these sirens only make the violence increase. Yeah, we're still not loving police. It's that bright young American, nice, dumb, arrogant. Tight on a mic, but he might need a therapist. Heart full of kerosene, head full of fairy tales. Said that you're my homie, you don't know me, but I know you very well. Roll back on some West Coast shit. This whole track is wetter than your dress code kiss. About to hit the track, running on some retro fit. I guess so lit, I guess so bitch, now let's go.
I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will...
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to yet again another Tuesday. Just so happens this Tuesday is a national holiday and the little children needed to get out and get their fix. So, appreciate you hanging in there with us. Welcome to another episode of Sports Nonsense and Whiskey. Happy Halloween, Pinky, my dude. How you doing?
I'm doing good, buddy. Doing good. Shot one.
Love it. Let's go. Let's go. Quick hit night. We're starting an hour later than usual. We're going to try to do just an hour. We're going to cut ourselves off. So it is just, tonight's not going to be a long night. We're going to quick hit it. We're going to get to as much as we can in as much depth as we can within that hour, and we'll see what happens. Pinky, I know you had a fun weekend. Give us a quick rundown. You got to go do something kind of cool. So, it relates to what we do.
We just did a football weekend going down to Phoenix. As a lot of folks know, we try to go to all – we're trying to go to all 32 stadiums and experience spend some time in the city and just kind of see what it has to offer. And this time we chose Phoenix, and we went down there. And my buddy Andy, big Chiefs fan, I'm a big Broncos fan. We brought our ladies with us, and we hit some distilleries, we hit some dive bars. Food was awesome, and then we did a stadium tour of the Cardinal Stadium, so we could kind of get a little bit behind the scenes and see a little bit of what the stadium has to offer. Pretty cool place. Game day, I mean, it's a little bit different. You go to the Cowboys Stadium, you go to Vegas, you go we haven't gone to a game in Vegas yet, but we went to the stadium. You go to a Chiefs game, you go to a Broncos game, like the atmosphere is totally different. And that really has to do with winning. Not that the Broncos have been winning a lot lately, but they've had a tradition of winning to where they have a rabid fan base. Chiefs are winning now. They have a rabid fan base right now, right? So it's a whole kind of different experience down in the Cardinals. You've got a couple fans who are like cheering and, Cardinals, let's go, Bird Gang, The Ravens fans, though, came out in force. They were everywhere. And I didn't know this. I'll have to look it up a little bit more in detail. They sing the dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
Like, they did that throughout the whole game, after the game. Like, I didn't know it was a thing. I might have to look it up, but it was pretty obnoxious. Like, I got to be honest. And they were everywhere. There was Ravens fans everywhere.
Interesting. I didn't know the Ravens traveled like that.
They were everywhere. I mean, I've seen a good amount in Mile High, but when you talk about 76,000 people in Mile High, you sprinkle in a little bit of Ravens fans, it doesn't really make a huge, imprint. I would say a third of the stadium was Ravens, maybe. That might be a little high. But you could hear them when the Cardinals were on the field. Like, it was loud. Like, it was loud. Like, their offense did not have the quiet down. It was really loud. So, just a really cool place. We got some good seats. We were down in the lower bowl, and we could kind of see just high enough that we could see everything on the field. It was awesome, man. It was awesome. It was a good experience. Cardinals, we rooted for the Cardinals. They did not win. They played hard, though. They played hard. A couple Josh Dobbs interceptions at bad times. Just, kind of just did them in. But they were running the football on the Ravens. They were moving the ball. Like,
Coach Gannon might be legit. Coach Gannon might be legit.
I respect the way that team's playing, man. That defense,
sure.
They announced the defense to start the game. Like, that's who came out of the tunnel. And I think there was two guys that I knew who they were. That. And I feel like I know a good amount of players.
You're pretty good. Yeah, you're pretty good.
And I was just like, I don't know who that is. But you know what? They all tackle. They all swarm to the ball. They play tough, solid defense. You don't get anything cheap on the Cardinals.
For sure.
And I'm digging what Gannon's got going on. I don't know about, I don't know about Kyler coming back. I don't know. I'm not a Kyler guy. But if Gannon can get him playing good football, then, it's worth a shot.
For sure.
But, yeah, good stuff, man. It was a great weekend with Andy and his lady and my lady. We had a tremendous time. It's just a good time spending time, quality time with friends. Or Andy's pretty much family, so it's just like spending time with family.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Solid.
Thank you to Mike and Tracy.
Yeah, not that they'll listen, but Mike and Tracy, the Nelsons, they were there. They helped provide lodging, and they came out to the game, and they were great hosts. So
solid.
Cheers to them.
Solid. Cheers.
Come down.
That's good. My weekend was spent in emergency rooms and hospitals, so you definitely got the better end of that deal. Everything's good now, though, so we will continue to move forward. Other than that, man, we had a solid weekend of football. World Series is going down. It is tied 1-1. Am I right there? Or
no,
the game ends 2-1.
No, Rangers lead 2-1.
Right. Rangers lead 2-1, right?
Right now, 2-1.
Because of tonight's game.
They won last night.
This is game 4?
Yep.
Dang. Okay. They're going. Look, guys, the last 5 days have been a blur for me, so bear with me, please. Okay, game 5 was tonight, and they're winning, right? I haven't had a chance to even look at the score.
Game 4 is tonight. The Rangers are up 11. The Rangers are up 11-1.
So they're about to go up 3-1 in the series.
3-1 in the series.
I'm caught up now. So congrats to the Rangers. They're playing great ball, and their dudes are finally showing up. I mean, look, I've seen enough of it to know what's going on. I just a little confused on how far into it we are. But Corey Seager's finally showing up, and it looks like he's earning that money they paid him that big contract for when he came over from LA. And he struggled a little bit during the season. There were some question marks concerning his contract and would he ever live up to it, and some of those things were coming up. The way he's playing in the World Series, I think you can put all that to bed. Could care less if the dude shows up in the regular season if you make the World Series and he's the best player. that
Right.
forgives everything. So congratulations to Corey Seager for breaking his slump, if you will, for the season. So sounds like Rangers about to go up 3-1. We'll have game 5 will be Thursday, I believe, because they got to travel back to Texas.
Nope, it's tomorrow. It's
In
tomorrow
Texas?
in Arizona.
Wait, what?
They do 2-3-2.
No, I thought baseball changed. God damn
2-3-2.
baseball. All right, I'm not even touching that tonight. We'll let that go. Baseball.
So it's
Into the modern era, baseball.
So it's 2-3-2. So tomorrow, still in Arizona.
Yep, still in Arizona.
If the Rangers win, though, it's over.
It's over. So just another reason why 3-2-3-2 is. I'm not going down that road with baseball tonight, Pinky. Why'd you stop?
I just want to make sure you said the right stuff, man.
You're right. I appreciate it. I could have sworn they had switched that. Baseball, get your shit together. I don't give a shit. If you consider yourself a baseball traditionalist, a baseball purist, and you're unwilling for the game to evolve, you are ruining your own game. Period. End of story.
Right.
Hockey's going down. Basketball's going down. There are things that we will discuss on that as the coming weeks are to follow. We will talk about 2 pieces of news, though. One with hockey, one with basketball, and then we're going into football. Hockey, for those of you that haven't heard, a tragic story and one that is starting to raise a lot of question marks. So I won't go too in depth right now because it sounds like there's a lot more things happening all of a sudden to where we may not have gotten the original story at first, which is bizarre. But a young man, Adam Johnson, lost his life playing over in an England league where the original account was he caught a stray skate to his neck in a pile on the ice. And by the time he got to the bench, the cut was so bad, basically, that they weren't able to save his life, and he ended up passing away from this cut. I've heard rumblings, rumors, I'm not sure what to call it right now, that there's more to this story. The police are investigating it over in England as more than just an accident. So is this just, tabloids trying to make something bigger of what is really just a simple act that is a very unfortunate situation? Or is there more to this injury that then led to the death? Was he not properly treated? I don't know. And there's a lot floating around right now. I don't want to do conjecture. I don't want to try to hypothesize about this because there's not even enough information to do that. But a man did lose his life playing a sport by all accounts right now. And that's a bummer. I don't know how else to put it eloquently for that. It's a bad situation. Our hearts go out to his family and friends. You know how much we feel about that inner circle. For anybody to lose their lives being able to play a game like that, it is not something you go to work ever thinking is a possibility. So thoughts and prayers out to that man and his family. And hopefully they get, the answers that they're looking for if there are more to that story and they get the whole story. If we find out more, if there is more to discuss and things come to light that change that, we'll talk about it. But for now, that's where we're at. No good transition from that, people. Yeah, no good transition from that. It's just a terrible loss. Going into basketball, Pinky, I don't understand 2 things, and we can elaborate on it, obviously, but 2 things blow my mind. One, how James Harden keeps managing to weasel his way out of situations continuously. And that's exactly what he's doing, weaseling his way out. Slimy, gross, dude on the street corner in the alley trying to sell knockoff watches. Like, James Harden is now cringy. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if you're a James Harden fan. You weren't a James Harden fan before me. Plain and simple. I was a huge fan of his at ASU all the way up to him getting drafted at OKC. I was praising his name. I thought he was going to be the next big thing. He turned out to be a big thing. I have not liked anything he's done since Houston. He got incredibly selfish, incredibly egotistical in Houston. He's not as good as a scorer as people want to make him out to be. The only reason he was able to score at the rate he was for a couple seasons is because the NBA allowed to carry his passport on the court everywhere he went. Period. The James Harden move is a travel. I don't care what anybody says. This is not 2 steps. That's a 3-step shuffle, step back, 2-step, side shuffle, jig, then he shoots the ball. It's not a basketball move. It's a street ball move, and it works in street ball because it's a travel. So no, James Harden is not some kind of prolific scorer that the NBA's never seen the likes of. When you're allowed to cheat the game, you're going to get away with scoring more, period. Is he a really good player? Hell yeah. Is he an all-time great? I'm not on that train. Is he one of the greats of his generation? Sure, I'll give him that. But he's not an all-time great scorer. He's a good scorer who got away with traveling every single game, every single possession.
I mean, at the end of the day, man, he's quit on 3 teams.
So that's number one. How does he keep weaseling his way out of this? Because if I'm the owner, especially Philadelphia's owner, I'd have told him to go sit at home. His NBA career is over. Because he's going to get fined for not showing up. Because I'm not going to let him come into the building. And then 2, he's going to sit for 2 years. Nobody's going to sign him after that. You're not going to come back at that level. So that's what I would have made him do. Second thing that is driving me nuts, I don't understand how someone, by all accounts, such a great businessman in Steve Ballmer, can be such a terrible owner and not understand. Look, it didn't work when you went all in with PG and Kawhi for multiple different reasons, but it didn't work. Now you're going to do it again. And on top of that, you already have Russ in the background. Russ and James Harden have proven they do not play well together. And for some reason, you think James Harden's going to come in and play nice with Russ and PG and Kawhi when he's going to be possibly the 4th option on the team, and he's come out and said he wants to be a pure scorer again? Oh, dude. The LA Clippers front office and Ballmer are basketball idiot savants.
So, how about this? On top of trading for Harden, giving up some bench guys, giving up 2 first-round picks, they have 6 years without owning their own pick. And all 4 of those dudes are available to leave after this season.
Yep.
So if they all decide now, if Kawhi and George leave, obviously the Clippers will have enough money to pay Harden. So maybe Harden will stay because of that, because they can pay him. But like at the end of the day, you're like, you did this to make yourself a really good team. You really didn't do that. I mean, it didn't work for the Suns last year when they got Durant. It just you killed your bench, and unless Booker and Durant went off for 35 apiece, you weren't competing. Dude,
they are in a position right now where they have how do I want to word this? They have committed themselves to those 4 players now until their careers are over. And this is why I say that. 1, those players aren't going anywhere else because nobody's going to pay them what the Clippers will pay them. And the Clippers will have to overpay them to keep them. And they'll do that because if they don't, they will literally have nobody on their team playing for them to the point where they will be the 012 Nuggets. I think it was the 012 Nuggets. Who went just terribly after Melo left. You're gonna be filling your spots with bench guys and G League guys if you let those 4 walk. and you don't own your picks, so you're not going to replenish that cupboard with anybody of value. So you pay them as long as they're willing to play, because that's the only way you're going to put a decent product on the court. But that decent product is going to be, over the next 3 or 4 years, you're going to go from 4th in the West to 7th in the West to 10th or 11th in the West to bottom feeder, even with those guys, because they won't be on the court because of injury. They'll be so old they can't play enough minutes. They're not going to be the athletes that they once were. So you're going to get smoked by these younger, more athletic teams. Like, there are so many reasons why this was a bad idea. I said signing Kawhi and the way they did it to trade for him and get all those pieces with PG by him was a bad idea. And they managed to dig themselves out of that enough to where if Kawhi and PG were on the court, they were a title contender. Maybe not a favorite, but a contender. That's all gone now. You literally have zero depth, and you got 4 dudes. Correct that. You got 2 dudes who are me guys. Sorry, Russ, you're a me guy. And you've got 2 dudes who are top 10 in the league when healthy, possibly, but they only play 50% of their games. And one of those 2 no-shows in the playoffs in PG. So now you got PG and Harden who no-show in the playoffs for whatever reason. You got Kawhi who's never available in the playoffs unless he's with Toronto or a rookie in San Antonio. And then you got Russ who, look, damn good basketball player. I love Russ because he's always going to give you 110, right? That over-exaggeration. He's always going to give you everything he's got every night on the basketball court. He's not going to cheat the game. But he is a me guy. I don't care what anybody says. I love Russ. I think he's a great ball player. But when he gets his stats, nobody else around him improves. When you watch Jokic, when you watch LeBron, when you watch a Magic Johnson, when they're getting triple-doubles, everybody on the team is eating. Everybody looks better. That has never been the case with Russ. I don't know why. I can't quite put my finger on it. I've given some examples on why I believe that is. I'm not going to go all over that again tonight, but this is not a situation. I honestly believe this made the Clippers slightly worse than they were before the trade. And Philly got better. And Philly got better simply by addition by subtraction, let alone all the bench guys they were able to get and role players that came along with it with the picks.
And Philly will probably trade those 2 picks for somebody else.
Hell yeah, why not? Why not? So, I don't get it. I don't get what Ballmer's doing. I don't understand why he would want to pursue this. I don't understand why you would want to bring somebody in. Look, what's the definition of crazy? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. What the hell was Mark Cuban thinking last year bringing in Kyrie Irving with Luka? Stupid. Everybody says a bad move. Ballmer, what are you doing, man? What you gave up to get James Harden, you could have replenished your cupboard 3 times over and made your team better. If you were willing to give up all of those assets for James Harden, honest to God, you could have gone and gotten DeAndre Ayton, Drew Holiday, and somebody else, and probably it would have been cheaper, and you would have been better. So this was stupid. And to take it a step further, I at one point thought there were some good basketball minds in the Clippers front office. Like, I had some hope for them. I no longer believe that to be the case at all. Because if they were good basketball minds, they would have found a way to convince the owner that this was a really bad idea and gone a different direction. And they didn't do that.
I know I think they're opening a new stadium. Is that right? I think this could be a stadium move, trying to open the new stadium. Again, Cuban did it. The Suns owner, Ishba, did it. And now they've done it. Ishba
did it with guys that make sense. I wouldn't have done what Ishba did because I don't think it made his team better. But at least he did it with guys who aren't detrimental to the team. They don't have knocks on them other than just some injury history issues. But they don't have locker room issues. They don't have team issues. Like, look, Durant left OKC to go play in Golden State because he wanted to play with people who wanted to play basketball. Like, actually play basketball, not just dribble and shoot with 2 seconds left on the clock like Russ was doing to him all the time. So he left for a reason. Then he left Golden State because him and Draymond got into some shit and they didn't see eye to eye. And I think he kind of wanted to try and do it on his own. He got tired of the narrative that it was Steph's team and he got kind of carried regardless of him winning 2 finals MVPs. The problem was he chose Brooklyn and Kyrie next. He should have known better, but he didn't. He chose that life. He thought it would work out. It failed miserably. And I don't care what anybody says. I will give James Harden a pass with Brooklyn, and I'll give Kevin Durant a pass with Brooklyn. Kyrie is a cancer. Phenomenal basketball talent. Terrible teammate. Period. He's a terrible person for the locker room. He is a cancer to any basketball team. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if every teammate of Kyrie's ever came out and gave him glowing reviews on how he's actually a great guy and he's wonderful in the locker room and the media blows it all out of proportion. That simply would be a lie, no matter how they try to spin it, because everywhere Kyrie's gone has been an epic disaster, minus where he started in Cleveland. And even that he turned into a disaster by the time it was all said and done. So that just makes no sense. But I'll give Durant a pass. Beal never wanted out of Washington. They were just trash and had to move on from him and weren't going to try to do a winning organization, so he was willing to do a trade. Booker was already in there. The Clippers are a mess, man. Kawhi said he wasn't going to sign unless you brought PG, right? Like, Kawhi made that evident. I'm not signing as a free agent unless you go spend a bunch of shit to bring another star in here. And the Clippers obliged, and it ruined them for a while. And now it's ruined them long-term because neither star can stay healthy and get them to the promised land.
The Clippers window was the series against the Nuggets in the bubble.
The bubble. Absolutely.
And they were up 3-1, and they found an epic way to lose. And again, if it's Clippers, LA Lakers in the Western Conference, who knows what happens? That was their opportunity, and they failed.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. Now, bringing in Russ actually worked. He helped run your second unit. By all accounts, Russ is a great teammate. He's just a selfish guy on the basketball court, it's a weird thing to say because he's a selfish guy. So that doesn't quite sound right, but like, if Russ was truly an unselfish basketball player, he wouldn't shoot as much as he does because he's just honestly he's a terrible shooter. If Russ was a unselfish teammate, he wouldn't be trying to rip boards away from his forwards who are already down there boxing guys out, and he would be running out to basically half court for an outlet and a fast break. There are things that he could do that would change the way he plays a little bit to elevate his teammates more than he does now. But he's a solid basketball player. He helps run that second unit, and he was good for them. And by all accounts, he's great in the locker room with them. So good for Russ. But you went and got Harden. You brought in a cancer. You already had issues, and then you decided those issues aren't enough yet. We want more. So live with it. Clippers fans, get ready for an epic fail this year.
When it doesn't work out, they're going to be stuck with these older players playing out their last couple years, and you're relying on them all to be healthy, all to continue playing well. And fingers crossed that works because you don't have any picks or you don't have any way to replenish your bench or anything.
No, and you're not going to be able to trade any of these guys to do it. Nobody's going to want to take on any of these guys after this season. I can't imagine one team paying a decent value for any of these guys going forward. God dang, Clippers. Stupid. And I've always had a soft spot for the Clippers. Don't ask me why. I don't really have a legitimate reason. I loved Quentin Richardson and Darius Miles when they came out. I thought that would be a young, fun duo back in the day. The Clippers ruined them. along with Jamal Crawford and many other people.
It's funny. All the basketball minds I've seen talk about this all talk about how much they hate it. The only person that likes it is Vegas because they immediately move to a contender to win the West.
No, they don't.
And I was like, I don't see that.
That happened because a bunch of people started putting their money on that, so Vegas was willing to move the line. Vegas doesn't actually believe it. Keep that in mind with Vegas, people. Vegas doesn't always set stuff because they believe something's true. They set it because of the way the money's coming in. Just keep that in mind sometimes when you're thinking about putting a bet down.
Well, before we move on to the trade deadline that wasn't, I just got to talk a little bit about the Nuggets being the best team in basketball again. I don't know if it's a shock to anybody out there. A lot of basketball pundits, talked about Bruce Brown, Jeff Green leaving, with the caveat of the young bench players have to get better. And by all accounts, they've taken up that mantle.
They're playing good right now. I think the biggest surprise for me, and the reason I said the Nuggets are the favorite, but not by a wide margin, is because when you see a team like this win, especially when it's their first one, you usually see a pretty good hangover to start the next season. And you can tell they're still a really good team. They're just, for whatever reason, they're not clicking right away, or they're just a little slow or sluggish, or things just don't quite look right. And it takes them a couple months to get going and back in the groove. Nuggets.
This looks like
they did it twice.
This is like 2 days after they won the finals, and they're still like right there.
It's crazy. Now, Nuggets fans, let's be realistic here. Young Guns started off hot and they're playing well. Don't be crazy. Don't expect that to continue the whole season. Expect to see some struggles from Brown, Christian. Expect to see some struggles from him. He's stepping into a new role, more responsibility, different things are being asked of him. Don't be surprised if he struggles, and that's okay. That's part of the growth. You got to go through a little bit of that struggle before you can take that big jump to the next step, okay? Let's keep an eye on Watson. Dude's playing ball right now. Giving it to you on the defensive and the offensive end.
His defense right now has been.
He's doing what Christian Brown did last year. I'm gonna play defense to get myself on the court, and if I get some opportunities on the offensive end, I'm gonna make smart decisions, even if it doesn't mean I'm scoring. Great. That's phenomenal thought processing. But guys, don't be surprised if as the season progresses, some of these veterans figure him out. Maybe you make him look silly a little bit on the defensive end. Maybe he starts missing some assignments because coaches start planning when he's in the game to throw some stuff at him that he's not quite prepared for, that he hasn't seen before. It's okay, right? Again, the struggle usually means there's things starting to click and learn and figure out, and it's almost like they're crossing their feet between the past and the present, okay? It's to be expected. Don't go crazy when it happens. It's okay. What we want to see is those things happening around All-Star break. Right before, right after. So that as the playoffs are rolling around, those struggles are starting to become less and less and less. Okay? If Jokic doesn't win his third MVP this year, the league is on crack. And it will simply be haters hating. It was haters hating last year. Let's be clear. But there is no the best centers in the game are Embiid and Jokic. No. It's Jokic. And then there's another tier that you can start mentioning other names at. But let's not get it twisted. Stop putting dirt on the man's name. Stop saying he can't play defense because he can, just like we were talking about last year.
He had 3 blocks last night.
If you paid attention last year and you didn't just listen to the national media's narrative that was going on, you would have realized, like I kept saying, the gap between Jokic and Embiid's defense is here. Okay? Jokic, if you wanted to, was an average defender. Embiid was slightly above average. Embiid's not a great defender, guys. He's a good off-ball defender. He's good at coming off ball and getting some blocks and stuff. On ball, he's not a good defender. He's not any better than Jokic, okay? Let's keep it clear. So you want to say there's a slight gap? I'll give it to you. Jokic is closing that gap, but there's still a gap. The problem is, guys, when you want to talk about the offensive side of the ball, Jokic is here and Embiid's down here. The gap is very large when you start talking about the offensive side of the ball. And people want to be like, no, that's not true. No, Embiid can score. Come on. Did you watch the playoffs? Did you watch the finals run that Jokic made? Did you see him hang 50 multiple times? Did you see him get his buckets whenever he wanted to? Oh, and by the way, he was throwing 10-plus assists to his teammates to make sure that they were getting involved and creating offense for everybody around him. There's a huge gap between Embiid and Jokic. And if you're not recognizing that right now, I'm going to have to question all of your basketball ability to actually understand it.
So I'll just throw it out there. I love Joker. I recognize the things he does, the things he sees, his anticipation. I think the problem that the national the media or some of the folks who don't see it, it's because when they watch him, they see like the old guy that pulls up to the pickup court, and you look at him and he's unassuming. He's like, yeah, he's just a big guy. And then like literally that old guy can rebound, can pass, and God damn it, no matter what he does down low, he's always making buckets on you. And then when you think you're like, oh, well, he didn't have range. If you leave him wide open at the 3-point line, he's sinking those too. Like you're just like, but he's unassuming. That's the problem.
Yeah, but
he
we've
doesn't
done this
fit the national media.
Like you would think after Larry Bird, people wouldn't do that stupid narrative anymore.
No,
you would think they'd be smart enough to use their eyes, watch the game, and go, oh, okay, he's not the fastest. He doesn't jump the highest. But goddamn, he does everything on the basketball court to an exceptional level to the point where you can't stop him. Like, that should be what people see. I don't care what his – like, people give Karl Anthony Towns credit for days on his basketball skill. Karl Anthony Towns is less athletic than Jokic. But people talk about him like he's a star. I don't get it.
That they do.
I don't get it. Is it like why? Because he's a foreign basketball player? Because he plays for the Nuggets? Like, why do you create this narrative that you continuously hold on and people are still talking about it this year? Like, how are you still talking about it this year? It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense, Pinky.
I don't know, man. Like I said, I just look at him and he looks like he's unassuming, and yet he's still awesome. So that's it, my man.
All right, football. Before we jump into the NFL and the trade deadline, I gotta get your thoughts on the Michigan scandal going down right now, because we have yet to talk about it. I was hoping we would have some more detailed information by the time we did our show today. I don't feel like there's any more information today than there was last week or the week before. So let's talk about it a little bit. We can kind of keep up with it as we go forward from this point on.
I mean, it's not a good look. And Harbaugh's had a lot of different things that aren't good looks, like his satellite camps that he's always done, and some different things that have rubbed coaches the wrong way. Signs. I don't know how you're sign stealing in college, but with so many things being, the boards they put up or the quick offenses they're running, I don't know. Like, I don't know. But if he's truly sending people out to watch different practices and different things, like,
no practices, just games. That's the word right now. It's just games. Buy it. They're paying for the tickets. It's not like they're sneaking in. It's not like somebody's giving them a gift to get there.
So this is just him sending dudes to other games and them paying attention to the signs?
And recording the sidelines. Apparently, from what I can gather, the illegal part of it is that the guys were videotaping the other sideline while at said game.
Technically anybody could do that.
Yep, they sure could. They sure could, Pinky.
See, I thought this was like practice and stuff, like behind the scenes stuff.
Nope, not even a little bit. changes your thought process a little bit, doesn't it?
Well, it just kind of lessens the degree of it. Like, is it still kind of like shysty? Sure. But like, if anybody can do it, then I'm not really that concerned.
Exactly. Now, let's take it a step further. Why did the whistleblower from Michigan all of a sudden decide to come forward with said information? Why?
Because he probably got angry or didn't get paid.
Okay, sure, but why? Now, let's take it a step further. Anybody, and I will not change the stance. I will not. There is nothing anybody can say, and I am 1,000% positive on this. There's nothing anybody can say to me unless it's factual proof that Michigan is the only team doing this. If you cannot provide to me proof that Michigan is the only team doing this, I don't want to hear, I need proof that somebody else is doing it. No, I need proof that Michigan is the only one doing it. And if you can't provide that to me, I think it is insanely naive and bordering on downright stupidity to believe Michigan is the only team doing this. And this is why. Pinky, do you know why college teams have to do these stupid signals with boards and signs and things of that nature from the sideline?
I do not.
Because the NCAA Rules Committee, parentheses, all coaches who make up that committee have voted that we are not going to put technology into helmets in college football players. And they've said, the NCAA, the reason it's not available yet is due to finances and every team not being able to afford it at this time. Bull fucking shit. If you believe that, I will not have a conversation with you. Because the level of immaturity for you to believe that colleges at the Division I level would be unable to afford the technology it takes to put a microphone into a helmet is absolutely absurd to me. There is no chance that finances are the actual reason. You know what is the actual reason, Pinky?
When we get to Division II, Division III, I could see that maybe being something, but not at Division I.
But we're not talking about Division II and Division III. We're talking about Division I. And the reason it is, and until you can prove to me otherwise, this is fact as far as I'm concerned. The coaches want to be able to steal signs. It's been going on since Bear Bryant, guys. This is a common practice. And anybody in the media who used to be a part of this game, whether it was a player or a coach, has basically come out and said, this is common practice. You know who the people are that are saying they're disgusted by it and they can't believe somebody would do such things? Current coaches. Because if they come out and say, yeah, it's common practice, then everybody's going to know that they were doing the same shit. And then what's the NCAA going to do? Only punish Michigan? Come on. They'd have to take everybody down or completely ignore the violations.
I mean, I think what really backs up your point here, and this is taking it back quite a few years, but I know everybody remembers Bountygate. You got to be one dumb SOB to think every locker room in the NFL didn't have a pool for hurting players. We did it in high school.
You don't even have to say it was for hurting players. It was more the thought process of, you knock that dude out of the game,
right? You
get something. It wasn't like they were trying to ruin somebody's career. They weren't going out there to try and be nasty to be nasty. It was, and if you play sports, you understand this. If you did not play sports, this is a foreign concept to you and you will not understand. It's about being so physical and so dominant that you did something legal in such a manner the other person wasn't able to stay in the game because of it. That's what it was about. But it was not portrayed that way. The media did not do it any justice. The audio and the video that came with it did not do them any favors. to the point where it turned into something that could be really ugly. If you didn't understand the actual mental aspect of what they were talking about and doing, right?
Absolutely. And it's the same thing. Everybody was doing it. It's just one team became a martyr for it. So, yeah, I thought it was something like it was behind the scenes at like their practices and stuff, like shit like that. If he paid for someone to go to a game and record signals or signs or whatever, that's the same shit that could get on the All 22. If you get the actual live telecast, you can see the signs and stuff. So
sure, absolutely. Now let's take it one step further, Pinky. When has the NCAA ever been known to justly hand down punishments equally to any and all parties? I'll wait. By all means, somebody at me later. Come up with an example. Because you know the examples I have? SMU and the death sentence. Yeah. SMU was definitely the only college and program to do pay for play, right? They were the only ones that did that. Only SMU was giving handouts from boosters so that they could go ahead and be a better team. Nobody else in college football ever did that, did they? No. Or how about, I don't know, Reggie Bush and his family were the only people to ever take a kickback or gifts from a third party when that was unacceptable and illegal by NCAA standards, right? Reggie Bush and his family are the only people to ever do that in the history of the game. So thank God the NCAA is here to punish the people that make such terrible violations and bring the hammer down on them so that nobody ever thinks about doing these violations again. And that's what they're going to do at Michigan, right? They're just being just and fair. They're making sure that the only program that's stealing signs is going to be justly punished for it so that everybody else can continue playing on a fair field. Absolutely. I believe that with 100% certainty.
Sure.
The stupidity out there from people right now is mind-blowing, Pinky. I've had many a conversation with the online world here in social media. Look, I don't condone cheating. I don't like cheating at all. Play by the rules. But to sit here and think that Michigan's the only one that has bent this rule or violated it, and that it's not a common practice within the game is absurd. If the majority are breaking the rule, then it's either a dumb rule or a rule that should not be acted upon. Pay for play, SMU, NCAA shouldn't have done anything because they know damn well SMU was the only program doing it. Taking a Heisman away from Reggie Bush and making USC vacate wins and titles because Reggie Bush's family accepted some money to buy a house from some scumbag and then did not sign with him as an agent. So the scumbag came up and blew the whistle on Reggie Bush. Shouldn't have implemented the violation. I would love, this is like my ultimate ending to this story, Pinky. The NCAA throws the book at Michigan. They throw basically the death penalty at Michigan. Really try to bring the house down on them. And Michigan turns around and goes, bummer. All right, cool. Yeah, by the way, we're not going to listen to anything you said. And we're still going to give out scholarships. And we're still going to go to bowl games. And we're not going to even listen to this violation. You know what happens then? There's not going to be one damn school that says, well, we're not playing Michigan. Well, if Michigan's not going to do it, we're not going to pay for them. We're not. TV contract's dead. We're not going to. No, you know what will happen? Every school on Michigan's schedule will go, oh, you mean we don't have to listen to the NCAA? Wait, we have that choice? Guys, did you, hey, Michigan's not listening to the NCAA. We don't have to either. That will be the death of the NCAA. I don't think it'll actually happen, and I don't think Michigan would do it. But that would be, to me, the ultimate ending for this, to finally just say, F you, NCAA, we're done listening to you. we're going to go do our own thing now that actually makes sense, that's logical, that everybody can follow, and we're not going to worry about listening to you anymore. Shove off.
Yeah, the NCAA sucks.
So, anybody supporting this entire investigation, whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not, whether you want to listen to me or not, the fact of the matter is, and the truth is, you are supporting the NCAA. In a roundabout way, you are supporting the NCAA, one of the most corrupt organizations in the world and sports, that does nothing fairly, that does nothing justly, that does nothing across the board equally. You're supporting them and continuing to allow them to be a blemish on the world of college athletics.
Ain't that the truth? All right. We were going to make this an hour, and I don't know if we're going to make it, but NFL time.
We'll just talk NFL trade. We might go a little bit over, but that was the plan, right? Just a little NFL trade talk. We're not going into last week's games and stuff. So, look, we're going to go over a little bit an hour. Sorry. Bear with us. Shot number 3. Oh, was it only 2? I missed. Oh,
Only 2.
it's only 2. All right. Let's go. Let's go, Pinky. Let's go.
So, as we talk NFL, Pinky has a tradition. I take shots of screwball for every Broncos touchdown. And since I was at the Arizona game, during the Broncos game, I did not get to partake in that tradition. So I figured I would wait until the podcast and do it on the podcast. So I'm honoring that tradition. And look how many shots have been taken out of this bottle already. This size bottle lasted me almost the whole season last year. It's halfway gone, and we're halfway through the season. It's pretty good. Pretty good.
God. I'm just going to bite my tongue.
That's proof. It's pretty good. It's pretty good, buddy. It's better than last year.
We can agree on that. Cheers. I'll agree with you on that.
I will take it. I will take that. All right. What a pathetic trade deadline. Every year, the NFL does a great job of this. The media, the talking heads, everybody builds this day up. Ooh, this guy could get traded. Oh, that guy could be traded. Oh, this would be a great landing spot. None of that shit happens. None of it.
Square peg round hole syndrome still, baby. It's still prevalent in the NFL. They just don't get it. They just don't. There are too many old heads still available where we haven't had the true turnover yet, to where this idea of trading halfway through the season, that draft picks are so much more valuable than an actual player. I don't understand.
I counted three trades that happened today? Or were there more than that?
Yeah. Here. Hang on. Let's see here. Young was today. Sweat was today. Was Leonard Williams today, or was that yesterday?
I think Leonard Williams was yesterday, but we'll count it.
So then that was really Donovan Peoples-Jones today. You had Josh Dobbs today.
So I was counting Dobbs, Sweat, Young. I forgot about Donovan Peoples-Jones.
So that would be the 4 today. Leonard Williams was yesterday. Bayard was 2 days ago.
Bayard was a couple days ago. The Eagles did that one early.
Sunday? It was Saturday or Sunday he was traded. McCole Hardman was the end of last week. Randy Gregory was almost 2 weeks ago, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a while ago.
J.C. Jackson back to New England. Chase Claypool, Van Jefferson, Cam Akers. So a lot of these kind of happened a week or two ago. Today, the deadline, where you usually see a lot of action in other sports like baseball, basketball, you didn't see really anything in football. And that's common for the most part.
So in The NFL, I will say draft picks are held to more of a premium than they are in other sports.
Which makes no sense, but
I think some of it has to do with you have to replenish. You have 52 players on your roster.
I agree. The
depth,
the overall roster size does play into that.
You're always trying to fill it with quality, cheap talent.
Sure.
So that you can spend money at certain positions, and then in certain positions that are replaceable, you draft a guy and you move on from the veterans, right? You got to manage that semi cap that's out there. And that's how they try to do it. So I think draft picks are held to a little bit more of a premium, which is why you don't see a lot of teams really go all in. But good God, if you're a Chiefs fan out there today, are you not just screaming about the Chiefs not going and getting a wide receiver? Like, does McCole Hardman move the needle at all?
Dude, here's what I don't understand. How many second-round draft picks in the last 3 years have you spent on wide receivers?
Quite a bit.
How many of them have panned out the way you wanted them to?
0.
Why would you not give up a second for Devontae Adams? And then,
on
top of that, I know. On top of that, if you're the Raiders, why would you not accept a second-round pick for Devontae Adams? Like, this is the insane thought process that goes through these NFL owners and front offices. This shit doesn't make sense. They're on fucking hamster wheels.
I have no doubt Josh McDaniels was like, let's trade this guy. I'm getting just as much production or better out of Jacoby Myers. We don't need Devontae Adams. And I'm pretty confident Mark Davis was like, no, I gave up these draft picks. I gave up this money. He's not going anywhere. And that's the problem. He's the guy that has the say at the end of the day, which again, the owner, I feel like the owner should be a guy like, you have a GM that you trust to make those decisions, and the GM might give you a phone call and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. I just want to make sure you know before we pull that trigger. And if the owner has an issue, like he kind of talks you through it, you tell him, here's the plan. Here's why we're doing it. Okay, thank you. Like, he still shouldn't step in.
You know why an owner won't do it, right?
Well, they want to fill the seats.
Precisely. Now, here's why it's a process.
But Mark Davis doesn't have that issue because they're going to fill the seats with opposite teams' fans.
Right.
Every week.
You're right. That's a rare example. It's an unusual example, but you are right in that case with Mark Davis and the Raiders. However, here's the other thing. It didn't make any sense. Because really what the owner's saying at that point in time is my fans are stupid and they won't understand if I tell them the truth. So I'm going to treat them like they're a bunch of dumbasses, and I'm going to keep somebody who will sell a jersey and keep me with 65% capacity.
I got to get a read.
Because they think that's the better way to go. When in reality, if you were just willing to say, look, guys, we tried something. It didn't work. I was wrong. The experiment failed epically. I'm going to tear this down and I'm going to build it back up.
I mean,
and we're going to build it back up.
Derek Carr. Derek Carr's not there anymore.
Right. But if you were willing to be honest with your fans, with your team, with your players, with your front office, and say, look, we messed up. It didn't work. Time to pull the plug. Let's start over. Then you move all your assets and you rebuild. And the NFL, this is what blows my mind, Pinky. The NFL has specifically set up the dynamics, the rules, the structure of the league to where if you're smart at what you're doing, you can get rid of your entire roster and start with a whole new 52 guys the next year. And within 3 years, you can be competing for a Super Bowl.
2 years,
fine. You want to give them 2? I was trying to be a little generous. You can do it. It's been proven. And
we've had worse to first.
Up their entire structure to be able to allow you to do that. So why are more teams not taking advantage of that situation?
No idea, man.
Broncos calling the Broncos. Broncos. And just side note, real quick, Pinky, if I hear one more Broncos fan tell me that I'm not a Broncos fan and I'm a hater, I will go off. I've bit my tongue. I've kept my mouth shut. I've kept it high level. I have not made things personal. But I'm telling you right now, that straw that broke the camel's back, half of it is sitting on the camel's back after this weekend. And I about lost my shit. And you can think I am one thing, you can believe I'm one thing, but I assure you, if you force me to turn around and defend my ass, you are going to wish you never started. So Broncos fans, if you don't like hearing me talk about the way I'm talking about the Broncos, you can do one of two things. You can talk with me about it, and we can have an honest conversation about the facts of where this team is, or you can shut your damn mouth, you can turn me off, and you don't have to turn me back on. But I'm going to give you what I believe is my honest opinion of a team I have loved since I was a little kid and I first learned about the NFL. I am as much a Broncos fan as anybody else out there. I promise you that. And Pinky has brought up valid points. I do not treat my Huskers the same way I treat my Broncos when the season starts. But if you listen to me and you follow me, as the Huskers season goes on, I will start discussing realities and tell you they're bad. I don't do that with the Broncos. I start from the get with what I believe. There is no hope springs eternal with my Broncos. And part of that is because in college, you could change the whole damn roster over in one season and you could have some hope. That doesn't happen in the NFL. It could, but it doesn't. The Broncos had opportunities to make their team better at the trade deadline for the long term. They chose to do none of that. And now, Pinky, we're in a position with the Broncos where it's going to be one of two things. There's only two possibilities right now for the Broncos. And if you don't believe this, you need to start checking your thought process. They either go on an epic run and win the Super Bowl and make me look like a complete dumbass where I eat crow all day and I'm ecstatic about it. Or they're going to do exactly what I said they're going to do, which is going to ruin them for the next couple of years, which is win just enough games to not be able to get one of the top draft picks and put themselves in a mediocre position again. Those are the only two options for the Broncos at this point in time because they didn't move anybody at the trade deadline. Do you think I'm wrong?
I don't think you're wrong. I think the problem the Broncos had is they were holding on to their players that they possibly could trade had more value to them than they did to others in the league. And they didn't feel like giving guys up for peanuts. Right or wrong, I feel like that's what they felt. If they didn't get a certain value for a player, they weren't trading. Now, again, there are certain teams out there. Carolina Panthers. How don't give up a second and maybe a fifth or sixth for Jerry Jeudy? Reunite him with Bryce Young when he's got nothing to throw to but Adam Thielen right now. And Adam Thielen looks like a freaking god right now because he's open and he's getting the ball. But there's nothing else to throw to. I don't know. To me, again, the Broncos previously wanted a first. I feel like they would have taken a second and a sixth, something. They would have taken an extra, kick in a little bit extra. I feel like they would have taken it. How nobody didn't offer that? I don't know. You can't tell me, would Jerry Jeudy have not taken the Cowboys offense with CeeDee Lamb to another level with Dak having another guy that can't be covered? Again, not being on the other end of the phone, not knowing what was given, I feel like the Broncos didn't hear offers that were worth taking, unfortunately. Because it's either you take – if people are only offering you peanuts, you're like, well, is it better for us to just keep trying to win games or just take peanuts? I don't know. Again, not being on the other end of the phone, I don't know. I feel like there's certain guys could Buffalo have used Alex Singleton or Josie Jewell? Buffalo not getting an inside linebacker like baffled me.
Feel
Matt
like if
Milano went
Chicago is willing to give up a second for Sweat, and let's be honest, on the surface it looks like a stupid move, but in reality, they gave up a second basically to get a free agent because now they can negotiate with them ahead of time. They have the cap space to do it, and it actually improves their team long term.
Well, no,
it
works for
as you look deeper at
Chicago's got 2 firsts.
Right.
So giving up a second doesn't mean anything to them because they still have 2 firsts.
Exactly. There's a lot of deep levels that go to that where it's actually not a bad. On the surface, it's like, what the fuck is Chicago doing?
So
but then
I felt bad for Sweat.
Right, not a bad move. I mean,
Chicago, that's a good move for Chicago.
Yeah.
For Sweat,
not
I
great.
was like, not the best.
Probably a new coaching staff next year if they're smart. Bears aren't going to be smart, though, so hard to say what's going to happen there.
They're getting a new coach. Ryan Poles did not hire Eberflus.
No, but let's be honest. Poles should be gone, too. I think he failed the offseason miserably.
Well, they're not going to cut him after 1 year.
No, they're not. But I think he's a terrible GM. And look, Pinky, you know me. I am more than willing to, once I know I made a mistake, change. I'm not going to sit there and wait or hope for things to get better. Once you show me who you are, and I believe I've seen it, I'm good. I don't have to.
So I'm gonna agree with you with that take. I don't. I was talking with a colleague, and they were talking about a TED Talk they had listened to, where it was top CEO, and he was talking about one of the things that's toughest for people to learn is how to fire quickly. When you just know that it's not going to work out.
People don't like admitting they made a mistake. That's what it comes down to.
Because it's like when somebody comes and interviews with you, they're one of 2 things. They are truly who they are, and you're attracted to that, or they're faking who they are.
Right.
And you're attracted to that. And it's one of those 2. And either they prove that you were right by being who they are and being genuine and being that person, or they prove they were a good bullshitter in that interview. And the hardest thing is to realize when you made the mistake and just cutting bait, firing that person.
It's not fun. It's a lesson.
Well, it's an ego issue.
A lesson I was taught. Right. You know what? If I screw up, if I do something wrong, if I say something wrong, I feel like I've been pretty good about coming on here and saying, my bad, where's my crow? And you eat it. But I also believe the more you're willing to do that, the more growth and insight you learn about yourself and others around you, to the point where eventually you will be right more than you're wrong. I've said it on this show. I truly believe it. I would love for a way, and we actually go back and figure it out. But I believe my takes are at a 70% clip, if not higher, of being accurate. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. And if they're really off, then I'm an idiot. Okay? But I believe I'm right around a 70% clip, which is really good. I believe part of the reason I'm able to do that is because I'm willing to admit when I screwed up, and I'm willing to do it right away. I don't wait. I don't hold on. I don't second guess. I see, I evaluate, I make a decision, and I move on. There is no gray area.
That's why you've been married for so long, because you're able to say I'm wrong.
It helps. It helps, right? So, and I think that's the problem with a lot of fans. A lot of fans don't want to admit something is wrong because then they know things aren't going to be good, and they always want things to be good. So,
again, I'm not mad at the Broncos for not being sellers. Again, not knowing what they were getting on the other end of the phone. You know, if people were just offering peanuts, like it's kind of like, come on. But you know, again, in some other teams, there's multiple teams out there that you're like, wait a minute. The Chiefs, like I know they weren't getting Devontae Adams, and we probably weren't trading them Sutton or Judy. But you can't tell me the Chiefs don't need another wide receiver.
But why not
Well,
trade him Sutton or
what-
Judy? Who gives a
Well,
fuck
again-
if it's in division? Who cares?
Again,
You're not winning.
I'm not too worried about it myself, but I know how people don't want to make their division rival better. They don't want to make their
That's
division
the old guard,
rival better
PP.
for years.
That's that
I
square
know.
peg round hole NFL mentality, right?
So, but you can't tell me right now with Stafford being hurt, the Rams not really going anywhere. Chiefs couldn't have picked up the phone and be like, what do you want for Cooper Kupp? I know we're going to have to do a little salary cap gymnastics, but you know what? We'll figure it out. What do you want for Cooper Kupp?
Let's take it a step further, Pinky, so people know what I'm saying. I fully believe. What's the one thing I've said about teams and championships that I would be totally okay with if a team came out and said this is their new plan?
You don't mind if they go all in to get the chip and then they suck for a decade. And again, the problem is it takes the balls to do that. Because if you go all in and you don't get that championship, you're screwed.
You are. But I'll tell you what, I'd rather see my team do that than what Peyton is doing right now for the Broncos and creating nothing but a mediocrity situation. Peyton's a terrible GM. Now, I've been saying that for a while, and I've given you reasons why. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Pinky, because I think you're in this group. I believe Broncos fans as a whole excuse me. I believe Broncos fans as a whole are starting to come around to that idea.
Unfortunately, a lot of the decisions he's made has not gone his way. And at the end of the day, you have to be accountable for your actions, right? That's how it works. And at this moment, Sean Payton's not going to be the fall guy. The new owners aren't going to be the fall guy. The GM's going to be the fall guy.
Let's take a step further. This is yet another add to the list of reasons why I think he's a terrible GM. Did he draft Sutton?
He did not.
Did he draft Judy?
I'm trying to think when he started.
Nope.
If he didn't draft Judy, he started right after Judy.
He did, right after Judy. Did he draft Justin Simmons?
But you know who he did draft?
Wait, did he draft Justin Simmons?
Hold on.
No,
No,
just-
because Justin Simmons was
Hey.
2016.
Just wait. You're going to like where I'm going with this. Did he draft Garrett Bowles?
No.
So
Those are all Elway guys.
There's all these trade pieces that normally you would see being moved because it wasn't that guy's guy. And it's a way for him to say, tried to make it work. Pieces didn't fit. I'm moving on and I'm bringing in my regime so you can see my plan and then you can judge me by that. Did he do that? No. So not only did the guys that he drafted and brought in not really play out, including Marvin Mims this year, which I said was not a good draft pick, although that might be a little bit more Sean Payton than George Payton, so I could maybe give him a pass there.
Marvin Mims had a really bad game, and he really hasn't played since then.
But the point being, if you're truly a good GM, you look at somebody else's mistake and say, that's not on my resume. I'm moving on. I'm going to show you what my resume is. So the resume he showed us wasn't good. And the resume he was willing to keep around from somebody else wasn't good. Where are we giving this guy credit or points for anything he's done since he became the Broncos GM?
I mean, it's probably some of the guys he's drafted some decent guys late that he's had hits on. Does that overshadow?
Do you
trading
get points for
Russ
filling out the
picks?
special teams? I mean, is that what we're doing now?
He
Are we
did
going to
draft.
give him orange slices
Hold on,
and participation trophies?
Hold on. Most of the defense on the team right now, he drafted or signed in free agency.
And how are they
Majority
doing?
of that defense, they're doing pretty good the last 3 weeks.
Okay.
You hold the Chiefs to 19. You crush the Packers, and then you beat the Chiefs.
Let's hang on here. Big picture, like let's put things into context. Did the defense play so well that they held the Chiefs to 9 points, or did the Chiefs just have one of their epically bad games where they just didn't look right, and it allowed the Broncos to look better than they are?
But they've played a couple, so I'm not going to give the Chiefs off the hook on that because they've played a couple of those games. They look like shit against the Jaguars, and they look like shit against us the first time we played them. I'm not letting them off the hook.
I'm not going to fully disagree with you, but we're not saying the Jaguars and the Broncos are the same level of competition, are we? Jags could be argued as a top 5 team right now in the NFL. You're not putting the Broncos in the top 15.
As a team.
Right.
But as
so
the defense has played.
If the Chiefs had a bad game against the Jags, that's one thing. The Chiefs had a bad game against the Broncos, that's a different story.
Twice.
You can put rivalry in there, division in there, that always changes everything.
You got to give them a little bit of credit. They made Mahomes look human twice.
Look, hang on again. Let's back up here. I'm not saying the Broncos are trash. I'm not trying to say they're an epically bad team. I've said they're mediocre, middle of the road. On top of that, the defense was supposed to be one of the top 5 units in the league this year. So when I see them finally playing decent, I'm not going to give them credit for something that they should have been doing at a better level already. I'm not doing it. What I saw Sunday was a Chiefs offense that played so bad, it gave the Broncos opportunities that they didn't even have to take advantage of because the opportunity was literally put in their hands. So I didn't necessarily see a great game from the defense. I saw an atrocious game from Kansas City's offense. And I have to look at it that way. Because what did Kansas City turn it over, 4 times?
5.
5. You turn the ball over more than twice in the NFL, the likelihood of you winning is slim to none. That's recorded history. There's enough stat to back that up. There's numbers that prove it. They turned it over 5 times. The only way the Broncos were losing is if they're like one of the worst teams in the league. And I don't think they're that. So they should have won that game. There's no excuse for not winning that game. And the fact that they, let's be honest, barely won that game is not a good look. So again, I came away frustrated with the Broncos this weekend because they did something
comes more to the offense than the defense in that game.
Yes.
The offense did not play well enough in that game because really if Kansas City turns the ball over 5 times, you probably should hang 30 on them.
At least.
And you hung 24.
And that just creates so many more questions that I've talked about time and time again. I'm not going to go through it right now. The reason I've been talking about the Broncos is to use them as an example for the trade deadline of NFL teams. And this idea that
I feel like any trade deadline in the NFL, it's easy to pick out winners and losers.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And the majority of teams that don't make moves are losers. The Titans not trading Hopkins and Henry.
Dumb.
What are they doing for you?
Now, I'll give
Where are you going?
I will give you a 50-50, a coin flip on keeping Hopkins, only because Will Levis looked really good this weekend in his first start ever, throwing to DeAndre Hopkins. So if you want to keep that security blanket for your young QB going forward for the rest of the season to help him grow and improve, I'm okay with it. Do I think you could have done better and gotten rid of him and gotten some pieces to help that young QB more in the future? Yeah. But I can understand keeping him for this season. Keeping Derrick Henry makes no sense. Yes, a good run game can help your young quarterback. And this, that, and
they already had Tajay Spears has already taken 50% of the snaps.
I know. That's where I was going to go. So I'm glad you brought it up. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And then you look at what they've been doing over the last couple of years, getting rid of A.J. Brown and not paying him, but then bringing in DeAndre Hopkins and paying him. Moving Byard right now at the trade deadline. Like, Tennessee's not doing anything that says
that's your best secondary player.
Yeah.
So Kevin Byard is like 3rd in interceptions since 2016 with like 27.
What are we doing?
They technically got peanuts. They got like a 4th and a 5th for him.
Yep. Doesn't make any sense. What it would have made sense if you're trying to sell them at a discount and just take what you can to start rebuilding, if they had moved Hopkins and Henry. Then the buyer taking a discount on him would have made sense. Because look, we know we're not going to get equal value, but we do have to get something. We have to start rebuilding. We're going to start replenishing our closet. We're going to get some draft picks. We're going to start making moves. It would have made sense if you had done it with everybody. But then you keep Henry and Hopkins. Tennessee's looking just like the Broncos right now. Hey, let's do just enough to win 7 or 8 games, give ourselves like the 15th to 20th pick in the draft, and we're just going to keep being mediocre for the rest of our lives. That's what that move signaled. And you will lose more fans by doing that than you will by saying, hey, what we tried didn't work. We're tearing it all down and starting over.
Right.
You would gain fans saying that, not lose. But the NFL doesn't understand that for some reason. They don't get it. So Tennessee was a mistake. Dallas, year in and year out, Jerry and Steven keep saying, we've got all the pieces. We just need to put it together. But they don't have all the – Pollard is not the dude. We've seen it. He is explosive. He is dynamic. He is not 25 touches a game and a lead back. That's not what he is. Mike McCarthy's offense, antiquated. You need another weapon.
The Cowboys needed a thumper. Leonard Fournette. A guy can run.
I don't like that. He's done.
Hold on. I just need a guy I can hammer in there for 3 yards a carry to wear a defense down a little bit, so then Pollard gets those cracks that he can go a long ways and make those big splash plays. That's what I brought
back Zeke.
Bringing back Zeke would have made perfect sense. Trading for Zeke today, give up a 6th rounder or a conditional. Patriots would have taken that.
I'd have sent a second for Henry and not thought twice about it.
Absolutely. Sure. Because again, at the end of the day, is your late if you're trying right now, everybody's down on the 49ers. They've lost 3 in a row. I get it. At the end of the day, the 49ers and the Eagles are going to be a standing at the end in the NFC Championship game. And the only way Dallas gets into that conversation is if they can run the football on those 2 teams. Either one of them.
Yep.
To keep them up. Because what's going to happen? The same fucking thing that always happens to the Cowboys. They're not going to be able to run the ball. They're going to put 3rd and 8 at Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's going to get pressured, and then he's going to make mistakes, and they're going to be fucked like always. And no matter how good their defense plays, they're not going to be able to move the ball on offense like they normally do against bad teams. They played the Rams. The Rams, again, are not a great team on defense. They're not a great team on offense. And then when Stafford got hurt, it was all downhill for them.
Yeah.
So, again, they took advantage of a team without their quarterback. Ooh, wow. We them boys. Are you really?
Well, take a step further. What did I say this time last year? What did I say Buffalo should have been doing?
Traded for one of the guys. I know. I remember you said it.
CMC.
Right.
I said it at the draft. I said before the season even started last year. You give up your first in a heartbeat for CMC and you don't think twice. You're picking 30th.
Right.
What are you getting in the draft at 30th that's going to be better than CMC for a couple years? He's already under contract. Don't tell me cap space. If there's anything I hope I have educated our listener base with, is that the cap space number is a magical made-up number. And you can magically make up anything else you want as long as your team truly wants to win to manipulate that cap space to bring anybody onto the team you want.
Here's the issue. Not all owners want to pay the money they have to pay to manipulate the cap.
You're right.
Because that's what it is.
Which means then not all owners truly want to win. And if you're a true fan, you're listening to that shit. And you're paying attention to what they're saying so that when you hear it, you realize, oh, he said he'd do anything to win. He'd win at all costs. Who did we just pick in the first round? I don't even remember the dude's name.
Jerry Jones is proven.
You're telling me we could have given up a first for CMC and we didn't?
Right.
So that's Buffalo. Dallas is a great example. Jerry's been saying that shit for the last 20 years. When has Jerry ever made a move that backs his actions to his words? Man, just saying. I'm just saying. Broncos fans, listen to the Penner Group. Pay attention to what they start saying over the next 6 months. Through the rest of the season and the offseason. What they say, and between those lines, is going to tell you a lot about where this is going for the future.
So I'm interested. I am, bring that up. I am interested because Greg Penner, who is the president of the Broncos, is now also the majority owner of the Broncos as well. Rob Wilton transferred enough percentage of his shares to Greg, where Greg is now the majority owner, and he's the president. Now he has all the power.
That's right. He can make ultimate decisions now, all by himself.
We will see how things go. 49ers trading for Chase Young.
Great deal.
3rd round pick. Now, again, it's funny. So they already had a 3rd round pick, and they already had 2 3rd round compensatory picks coming their way. So really, they're just losing one of those to get Chase Young, which is just a rental. They're not going to sign him long term. But when you're having some struggles on defense and you're not getting to the quarterback like you thought you would, if you've got Nick Bosa, Javon Hargrave,
Randy Gregory,
now you got Chase Young. There's the other guy in the middle too.
Yeah, Warner.
That's really good. No. The one that they've had for a while. Why am I drawing a blank? He's really good though. He's a DT. He's on the inside.
Okay, my bad. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
They're going to be able to rush the passer, and when it comes to playoff time, you need that.
They're not just going to be able to rush the passer. They now have a rotation to rush the passer, and not just a rotation. Guys that would start and dominate on pretty much any NFL roster as your rotation. So you're always going to have fresh legs and fresh bodies in that defensive line that are all Pro Bowl level players. That's absurd. That is absurd. And what I love about the move for the 49ers is just like you said, they have multiple 3rd round picks. Well, if I have, in my mind, anything above and beyond what my own picks are, that's excess that I can get rid of for rentals.
Well,
for guys that I can bring in to help me win right now.
I mean, it's shocking to me that the Commanders were ready to say Chase Young being the 2nd pick of that draft. They did not give him his 5th-year option based on injuries, and them just saying, you know what? We're done. We're done. We're getting a 3rd round pick from you, and we're moving on. But probably the smart thing to do.
That was the old ownership that didn't give him his 5th-year option. Keep in mind, the one thing Josh Harris's ownership group and Magic Johnson has done, if you paid attention, they don't keep dead weight. They cut the fat, and they don't think twice about it. And they will move on, and if they're wrong, they'll say they're wrong, and they'll move on again.
Which is like everybody's like, oh, they're just giving up. They gave up Montez Sweat. It's like, yeah, but you know what? They're going to, like, Ron Rivera's gone.
Yeah.
I don't know who the GM is, but he's probably gone.
Yeah.
And they're going to get their dudes.
Yep. They're going to burn it down and start over. That's what they're going to do. And they will keep the pieces that are valuable and worth the contract that they have to keep around. So you want to keep a McLaren. You want to keep a Dotson. You want to keep a Robinson, a Gibson. You want to keep whatever else you want to keep. Fine. You have legitimate weapons that have proven they're talented. Why do I say that's different than the Broncos? Well, by all accounts right now, whether you like to hear it or not, Broncos fans, Judy's a bust. He's a bust. Sutton is damn good, but he had his injury. It set him back a little bit. Is he the same guy? Is he fully healed? We don't know. because the offense hasn't ever really given him the chance to prove it. Do I think he
I
is?
don't-
Yeah.
I don't know if
Are
he's
we
got the
sure?
same speed as he got as
That's
his Pro
fair.
Bowl year.
That's fair. Garrett Bowles, by all accounts, whether you want to hear it or not, he's a bust. Where he was drafted and what he's performed at are not equivalent to each other. So if those things do not match up, don't sit there and hope that they will. Move on. McLaren for Washington has shown he's a stud. He's proven that. He's worth keeping. Dotson, in his second year in the league, has proven he can ball. You keep him. Their running backs, you could probably move on. The Broncos, that's where they're lucky. You keep Javonte Williams. Notice how I never mentioned Javonte Williams in any of my trade conversations? He's worth keeping. That's where you have to start evaluating. That's where you have to start making tough decisions. And if you're unwilling to make those tough decisions in the NFL, you will continue to be mediocre or bottom dwellers. The NFL is notorious for it. Look at Chicago. Look at Detroit. Look at Arizona. Look at, I was going to say
Cleveland.
Tampa, but they've kind of changed a little bit over the last years and have been willing to make things different. But yeah, you're right. Them too. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Overall, it was a very expected NFL draft deadline.
I mean, it's expected, but it just doesn't make any sense.
Agreed.
It just
Agreed.
doesn't.
Agreed.
Like, there's just so many guys. Like, Devontae Adams should have gotten traded. The Chiefs should have got a wide receiver. I'm not exactly sure from who, but they basically have Rashee Rice, who I actually think is pretty good.
I think he'll be really solid.
He's
But is he
gonna-
number one or more of a 1A or a 2? Yeah,
No,
exactly.
he's a 2.
I agree.
He's a really good 2.
Cheers.
They have
I
Kelsey.
agree.
Kelsey's the 1. And then he's a good 2. But then they have, like, everybody else is literally the same fucking dude. McCall Hardman, Sky Moore, MVS, and Kadarius Toney.
Yep.
Certain games, they'll play well, and the next game they'll be a fucking dud. He doesn't, like, they don't have anybody they can be consistent. That's what's the painful. I will say, I watched some of the highlights from the Chiefs game, and you could see Mahomes out there just, like, looking like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Like, I've got these guys, and this is where I said, I don't even think it's like it's not monumental. But Juju Smith-Schuster last season didn't put up monster numbers, but you know what he did do? He was open on third down. He made the fucking catches. And every couple of games, he had monster games.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
He provided consistency. These other guys are not consistent. And the Chiefs felt like they could get away with these other young guys, and it's not panning out.
Didn't work. Didn't work.
And it's a bummer. And again, it comes back to there's so many teams out there. You're just like, Cowboys need a running back. Chiefs need a wide receiver. I don't know how the Bills didn't trade for a corner. I think they did get a corner. At the last minute, they got a guy. Not a guy that I'm like super high on, but they did draft. They did get a guy. Like they traded a 5th-round pick for him. I just like there's just certain things like I just like wow, like why didn't you do X, Y, Z?
Rasul Douglas,
that's who it was, and he's from the Packers.
Yeah.
So he's okay. He's made some plays throughout his career, so I think he could be okay. But they still need a linebacker. Like Matt Milano, like once he went out, man, their linebacking crew is not good. So
we'll talk more about Buffalo as the weeks go on, but they've got some issues. Final thoughts, my dude.
Look, I am so fucking hyped for the second game of the weekend because the Thursday night game is the first game. I don't know what game that is at the moment, but the 7:30 game on Sunday is Chiefs and Dolphins in Frankfurt, Germany. Fuck, I'm hyped for that game. We're going to find out a lot about both teams.
Agreed.
Like, this is a perfect time to have that game. Are the Dolphins can the Dolphins hang with the Chiefs? And can the Chiefs, who haven't played their best football yet, can they put it together? They've won some games. They beat the Jets. They beat the Jags. The Jags had like 3 touchdowns dropped in the end zone in that 17-9 game.
Yep.
If any of those are caught, it's a different game, right? They beat Zach Wilson, looked like a freaking pretty good quarterback against them. He has sucked every other game since. He's been bad.
I wouldn't agree with that, but I'm not going to go into it right now.
He's been bad, bro. He's been bad. He's been really bad. After the Broncos game, he's been bad. So
I will disagree, but that's okay. We'll talk about it. But yeah, I'm
bad.
with you. That game can say a lot about
that game. To me, is like the 7:30 game. I'm excited to get up early, start hanging out. The Broncos are not on next Sunday. We've got the bye. The 49ers have the bye.
Jags have a
the
bye.
Lions have the bye.
Lions have a bye. A lot of games. A lot of good teams off this week. So fantasy guys, pay attention because there's a lot of dudes sitting this week.
I'm hurting. Bro.
Yeah. I've said this for the last 4 years since we started doing this thing of the podcast. The NFL is all about the square peg round hole, and they refuse to get rid of the mentality. There is a new guard coming in that is changing that, but damn, changing the NFL is slow and hard. And so it's going to take some time for the NFL to realize the way they've been doing business is not the smartest way to do it. That's what I'm excited to see changing. And I believe it is. It's just going to take a little while. So we'll wait and see.
It's not changing fast enough. And again, I understand not taking peanuts, but God damn it.
Yeah, but if you're a good GM and you're a good negotiator, you find a way to raise the peanuts to something worth accepting.
You can't tell me Derrick Henry shouldn't be on a different team. You can't tell me Saquon shouldn't be on a different team. You can't tell me Devontae shouldn't have gotten moved.
Half of the Broncos. Like, I'll take a step further. At this point, Justin Fields should have been moved. And we know how I feel about Justin Fields, but
I don't know if anyone's going to take him with that thumb at the moment, but
you know what I'm saying though. Like the Bears, there's no reason to keep him. He's about to be on his 3rd regime.
Right.
Why would that one regime?
No, dude.
Like
I'm telling you, there's been flashes. I've agreed with you on that, but I don't feel like there's been enough consistency to say, let's not just take Caleb Williams. We'll reset the money because you got to pay Fields in 2 years,
right?
Anyways, right?
So then, final thought: why did the Falcons not reach out and make a deal? It's better than Ritter. It's better than Heineke.
So I didn't get to see it. Did Ritter actually get benched? Or
No,
did he get hurt?
What I was told, and it still doesn't seem like they're telling us the truth, because I believe Heineke's going to start this weekend. So we'll wait and see. But he was evaluated for concussion and went into concussion protocol. By the time he passed it and was eligible to come back in, Heineke was already rolling, and they just decided to let him sit the rest of the game as a precaution. That's the official word. It's not the word I believe is true, but that was the official word. So we'll see. Look, Pinky and I keep going on this. We got plenty of time. We try to keep it short tonight. We failed like usual because we always want to talk some more. Look, we appreciate all you guys. We can't thank you enough. Thanks for tuning in, allowing the children to plunder their booty. As always, you get the time with those loved ones, family, friends, inner circle. Look, we're not kidding when we say it. We pushed the show back specifically so we could take advantage of those times tonight ourselves. Use it. Do it. Don't hesitate. Don't think twice.
Bro.
We appreciate everybody. We love you guys. Likes, shares, retweets, follows, everything you do to support us. We can't thank you enough. Pinky, you're my dude. We're out.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast's racking up the flight miles. So So high, might never come down. So what? This is my lifestyle.